The following video was captured by Elias Samael, a man of whom has known his situation regarding spirits for a prolonged period of time. It all started a few weeks ago when he noticed some suspicious things happening in his room, and ever since then, it has progressively worsened. The best that Elias could do to counter these hauntings was order a Ouija board and give it a try a couple of times, but unfortunately, he failed, and the spirit continued to strike like it did in this short clip. Have a watch.
Amigos, sigo escuchando ruido. No sé qué, hasta cuándo va a terminar esto. ¿Qué? Se oye como que un niño llora. Esto no tenía por qué haberse movido. Por favor, ya que termine esto ya. No sé cómo hacer para cerrar esto. No sé qué pasa.
Elias, clearly in fear and panic, had no idea what to do when he saw the figure fly into the air and simply continued to stand there and film the instance, entering freeze mode rather than fight or flight. Moments later, he heard some inexplicable sounds coming from the other side of his door, and out of complete last resort conclusions, stopped the recording, hoping that this would incentivize the attention-seeking poltergeist to give it a break. Sadie was living a difficult life at home and pinned it down to the fact that her house was haunted. It took her a very long period of time to come to this bold conclusion, and when she did, she made her decision almost immediately. She would be moving house and relocating to a completely different city. Due to the distance between the cities, though, she had to stay elsewhere whilst her belongings were transported to the new house, and so she got in touch with an old friend and her husband. With open arms, they allowed Sadie into their home and made her feel welcome, allowing her to stay for a week free of charge, providing she brought her own food. I doubt they would have been so generous if they had known that Sadie's spirit had followed her to this new location.
Son las... no sé si se alcanza a ver, las 3 de la mañana con 1 minuto, y mi hermana me acaba de levantar porque dice que se escuchan ruidos en el cuarto. Mi esposo y mi niña están dormidos y vamos a ir a ver qué se escucha en el cuarto. No hay nadie, solamente estamos mi hermana, mi hija, mi esposo y yo. Aquí en este cuarto está solo porque en estos últimos días nadie ha podido dormir aquí. Como podrán ver, el cuarto está totalmente solo y pues nadie duerme aquí, solo estamos nosotros. Mi hermana dice que se escuchan cosas, pero... ay, me asusté. Pero no sé, pues no se oye nada. No sabe. Amor. Amor, levántate. Levántate porque allá le pegaron a la puerta. No sé qué pasó. Vinimos Sara y yo. Se escuchó la puerta. Se escuchó la puerta. Mira, acabamos de venir y no estaba así. Todos los cajones están abiertos. Ay, Dios. dormida. Estamos solos. No sabemos qué fue lo que pudo haber pasado. Mi esposo anda viendo. ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué es, amor?
Movió la puerta, no sé qué. ¿Qué va a entrar aquí? Nada. A ver, espérate.
No hay nada. No hay nada en el baño.
From mysterious banging noises to cupboards that should not have opening, it was clear that something paranormal was going on here, and considering Sadie's history, the family hosting her were quick to point fingers. They instantly changed their minds about letting Sadie have a free stay, and charged a ridiculous rent, which she reluctantly had to accept because she had nowhere else to go. You bet that the hauntings continued, and they became even worse than the first. This time around, the time was 3 a.m., and all three of the residents were awoken by mysterious noises and banging on the door. Eager to gather some more evidence of the whole saga, Sadie began to film and caught this.
Seguimos grabando porque no dejan de escucharse los ruidos. Son las 3:19 de la mañana. No dejan de escucharse las cosas. ¿Abre la puerta?
¿Qué pasó? ¿Qué pasó? A ver, abren la puerta.
Cuidado, cuidado.
Yo primero.
Se escucha bien claro, pero no hay nadie. No hay nadie afuera de la casa.
Aquí está para enfrente. Mira.
Solamente se escuchan todos. La gente ahorita a estas horas está dormida. No sabemos qué sea. Ya tenemos días sintiendo cosas extrañas. Últimamente se siente una vibra medio extraña. No sabemos qué sea. ¡Ay, Dios! ¿Viste la mona en la cabeza? La cabeza de la mona.
Es por los nervios, mi amor, es por los nervios.
Estamos solos. No sabemos qué hacer.
Me está dando el Parkinson.
Unsurprisingly, there was nobody behind the door, and it was evident that there was nowhere that the culprit would have been able to hide had it been a human. Furthermore, the doll/toy also managed to move on its own accord, which would have put the people present into a state of fear for many different reasons. To the surprise of everybody, though, they really liked the easy income that they were making from the overpriced rent, though, and still allowed Sadie to stay. But what happened 2 days later pushed them over the line.
Seguimos aquí en la grabación. Mi esposo fumando, que no falta el vicio. Mi hermano aquí casi llorando. ¡La puerta!
¿Quién anda ahí?
Vean, es que no hay nadie. No es nadie. Todo se ve absolutamente solo. No hay absolutamente... ¡Ay, esperen! ¡Ay, güey! Las cielas.
Aquí están todas paniqueadas, todas asustadas.
Los perros ladran.
Vamos a ver para allá adentro qué se mira, qué se ve.
Los perros así toda... Los perros así toda la noche. Toda la noche. Desde las 3 de la mañana hasta como a las 4:30. Así están. Ciérrale, hija, por favor. La mona no la quisimos ya ni tocar. Vean.
Dígame, tengo miedo.
Vamos a ver allá. pero no hay nada. Amor,
¿Qué pasó?
¿escuchaste?
Sí.
¿Estás bien, hija? ¡Ay, güey!
No manches.
Ve, ya córtale. Ay, no.
Se acaba de terminar, se cayó el aire.
Ya hay que
No, no.
dejar de grabar.
Ya vamos a acostarnos.
Ya.
Ya, mañana será otro día. Vamos a descansar.
In this final clip of the saga, a lot of strange things happened, so I am going to cover the majority of them. First of all, the sound of the door knocking happened again, which caused the trio to group together in the sitting room before the man of the house opened the doors to investigate. Nervously, the women followed, but right behind them, the door was slammed without any logical and probable cause. In a rush, they all made their way back indoors because the situation had frightened them, to put it at a bare minimum, but everything carried on indoors. Falling objects were all over the joint, and it was safe to say there was no escape. Sadie was kicked out of the house and left to fend for herself once again. This next video was a product of Emax, who is a well-known ghost hunter who uses the very platform that you are using, YouTube, to document his ghostly findings. His main gimmick is exploring abandoned places which have any sort of ties that could lead to it being a place of paranormal activity, and he often finds some pretty good locations. In recent times, he explored an abandoned hospital deep in Taiwan, known for its random surges in spiritual activity, and he had a good time when it came to gathering content during his stay. However, he did not feel like he managed to capture the full scale of how haunted this place truly was, and so decided to give it a second visit, and actually found more than he thought he was going to. Take a look. Surprisingly, there was a bang that came from deeper into the hospital, and this left Emax in a state of horror for quite some time, not being able to act upon it, other than slowly turning around to see if anything was with him. It was when he followed the direction of the sound that a door ahead of him creaked its way open, and Emax was given a real fright. This next clip requires a very attentive approach in order to truly understand what happened, and I would like to present it as a bit of a challenge. If you can spot what happened in this short, 50-second clip that showcased a paranormal presence, then comment down below and show everybody that you have some eagle eyes. It took place in the house of Kiki, who had 2 loving children at her disposal. They all slept in the same room, because she was a very paranoid mother when it came to things like the kids being at risk alone at night, and one day, they were. All sorts of odd sounds were echoing around the bedroom, and momentarily later, Kiki decided to film the situation, and then this happened. Remember to comment if you notice.
Ventana es la puerta del cuarto, la que están tocando, no mames. Hay alguien afuera de la puerta del cuarto, güey, pero no es un puto humano. Ay, no. Voy a sentar aquí porque ya se recorrieron mis hijos. Entonces.
No, te pintaste aquí.
¿Sí ven en dónde están mis hijos? Carajo.
Did you comment your answer? Well, if you paid close attention to the door in the background, you would notice that it was consistently changing its state from open to closed whenever it left the frame and rejoined it. This was very spooky, and upon realizing, Kiki made it her mission to find an exorcist. Being a security guard must be one of, if not the most frightful job around, and that is specifically applying to the ones who operate in the nighttime. The feeling of being alone in a late and closed environment can make anyone feel vulnerable. And despite lots of training, even the most experienced of night guards tend to become nervous on certain shifts. That was the case for the one who captured the 3 clips that I am about to show you, who goes by the name of Ragulzu on social media, and what he captured during his shift at a local school was bewildering.
Y aquí en la escuela cuando empiezan a ladrar los perros así a llorar. Ah, visto. Ahí empieza a joder, como a golpear. Todas las noches hace lo mismo. ¿Qué pasa? Tempranito empiezan a hinchar las pelotas.
Somehow, despite the door banging for a good 20 minutes, and then proceeding to open, it was clear that nobody was residing on the other side, meaning that some sort of crazy yet logical solution happened, or it was a spirit. With one-off situations like this, it can be hard to differentiate and tell whether it was a ghost or not. But what if I told you that this was not really a one-off? This time around, Ragulzu was in the bathroom because the janitor had just finished in there, but had mistakenly left all of the lights on. When it came to matters such as this, the task was delegated to Ragulzu to sort things out, and in serious instances, he was paid more. But no amount of money would have incentivized him to go through what he did in that bathroom for a second time on the spin. Some sort of moan or wailing sound echoed around the bathroom, and it was honestly quite disturbing. The fact that it was followed by the closing of the door, though, really put the icing on the cake, and made sure Ragulzu went home the following morning, debating whether or not his job was even worth what he was being paid. In order to have a valid reason to quit the job without a 2-week notice, Ragulzu needed a plan, and he came up with the perfect one. All he needed to do was set up a camera, relax, and hope he caught one more instance on video. And sure enough, the plan was a success.
Agua bendita. San Benito Padre, protege. Y basta, basta. Tiraron las tapas de la olla. ¡Ah, qué olor a podrido, Dios! ¿Se escucha? El baño. Ah, bueno.
Whilst he was filming, the cabinet door behind him slowly opened with a horrifying creaking sound, and Ragalzu instantly walked out of the place after this, handing in his leaving notice. His boss could not argue after all. The evidence was concrete. The following video was captured by Clayton, a hyper-obsessed gym member and a gamer who let nothing get in front of him and these hobbies. Now Clayton was actually in the last video on this channel, where he was doing something as simple as some workouts, when all of a sudden a spirit began to mess with him. It created noises all around the house and lured him everywhere, finally taking him back to his workout location, and this is when the pin on the machine collapsed to the ground. He decided to be the bigger person and ignore this situation, but the very next day, something happened again. This time he was gaming all night and wanted to get his mind away from the potential of a ghost. The ghost could not help but remind him though, and started opening and closing his door, causing even more fear to be instilled within Clayton. After all of this, he decided to move house, but the process would take a full week, and the video that I am about to show to you took place 3 days into these 7.
I was literally just on the phone talking to my family about this.
Clayton heard knocking again, which was a common occurrence that came with this spirit, and it was followed by the same door as last time, opening and closing. This freaked him out, and in order to gain more proof of the poltergeist's existence, he approached the spirit with nothing but caution. Nobody was anywhere near the door, making this clip very believable. After this, Clayton made the decision to just tank it out and ignore the ghost for the final 4 nights. But unfortunately, it had opposite ideas. It caused so much havoc one night that Clayton was forced to record it, and what he got on camera was mesmerizing. This time around, the spirit was wreaking its havoc across the entire house and had Clayton chasing it around at 2 a.m. He was so ridiculously frightened that he didn't even talk in fear that it might annoy whatever was tormenting him and cause it to up its antics. This was a tough time for Clayton, and we are all very fortunate that we are not in a similar situation. On March the 31st of 2018, Bilal, a man who lived in Spain, decided to visit and document an old house in Spain that was supposed to be haunted. He thought that this would be an interesting idea, due to him having no faith or belief in spirits or anything of the sort, so it would have been great to enlighten him otherwise. He went into this paranormal hellhole expecting nothing more than some creaks that were caused by animals, but what he really got was terrifying, and certainly opened his mind up to a world of poltergeists.
Esta casa la acabamos de comprar hace poco, rayada, y tratamos. Cuando yo me vine del hospital, me dijeron que, ¿cómo se llama? Que estuve a punto de morir. Afortunadamente Dios nos ayudó, no hay nadie. Pero yo siento, sueño y veo cosas, se caen cosas, donde yo dicen que me traje algo. Aquí es una actividades diferentes. Aquí algunas cosas se han movido y tratamos de captar lo más que se pueda. Lo más que se pueda en cuestionamientos de las cosas que se mueven. Tratando de... Miren, ahí está el primero. Ahí está el primero y eso es lo que me da... Eso es lo que me da miedo. No sé lo que pasa. Tratando de... Este monito se lo dieron a mi esposa en el hospital. No sé si agarrarlo o no, la verdad me da un poco de cosa. Ese mono se nos ha caído ya varias veces, hasta en la noche. No sé si realmente deba de agarrarlo o no, pero tratando. Ese mono, algunas cajas que tenemos aquí se nos han caído. Mi conejito, no sé si sea perspectivo, él capta a veces las cosas, se queda viendo lugares que no entiendo por qué, ¿verdad? Entonces vamos a tratar de captar varias cosas para ver si alguien nos puede ayudar. Alguien nos puede ayudar. Aquí no tratamos de engañar a nadie, solamente algunos cuadros que han estado derechos amanecen chuecos, como pueden ver, pero quiero captar lo más que se pueda. Vuelvo, es una vista panorámica para que vean que no hay nada, no hay nadie más que mi conejo me acompaña, tratando de captar. No me quiero quedar a oscuras. Mi familia sigue dormida y tengo miedo de comentarle a mis hijos porque están chiquitos, tienen miedo. Quiero captar lo más que se pueda. En este cuarto, como les comento, es donde hay más actividad. Aquí quiero captar algo. No sé qué pase, que se pueda realizar. Es el juego de los salón, bueno, es el cuarto de los niños, pero de hecho tratamos de captar lo más que se pueda mover. Pero al final, ahí está el primero. Ahí está el primero. No sé qué está pasando. Dios. Tratando de ver lo más que se pueda. Lo más que se pueda captar. Como les digo, es el cuarto de los muchachos. Y tengo miedo de que ellos, Dios, tratando de hacer lo más que se pueda. Se empezó a mover muy leve. No sé qué pase realmente. Como pueden ver, aquí no hay nadie. No hay nadie, absolutamente nadie. Trato. Vean. Y vista panorámica, donde no hay nadie. No sé qué pasa. A veces estoy solo y se mueven cosas muy fuertes, muy rápidas. Voy a tratar, si pueden ver, absolutamente nadie. Panorámica. Ahí se movió el patín ya. Ahí está. Ahí está. Dios. Ahí se acaba de caer.
Things started off with the doll collapsing to the ground, and Bilal saw this and thought that maybe it was caused by his movement. As I said, he was a non-believer. After the scooter started to move and the fan collapsed, though he stepped outside the room and took a moment to consider the situation that he was in before drawing the only logical conclusion. This place was in fact haunted, and he was in fact leaving. When it gets late at night, there tends to be nobody around, and this can cause an eerie and terrifying atmosphere. This is why most people won't go to dodgy locations at such times. But due to some peer pressure, Francesco thought otherwise. He stayed out with his friends until way past midnight, and eventually, when they decided to walk 3 minutes home, he had to go back to his motorcycle in the parking lot. Once he arrived at the parking complex, he noticed a shopping trolley move, so took out his camera to see if he could get anything strange on record. This is what he found.
Minha gente, aquele carro ali, ele mexeu. Eu parei com a moto aqui agora. Eu tô ficando doido. Ó, e o outro lá mexeu. Esse carro aqui. Tem alguma coisa aqui. Quem é que tá aí? Você mexeu o carro, mexa agora. Mexa esse carrinho que tá aí. Olha. Olha. Vixe. Deus do céu, meu. Vocês viram? Passou por ali. A moto deu partida. Olha. Sozinha. Meu Deus.
First of all, the shopping cart moved again, and it was obvious that no force could have acted upon it. Furthermore, there would have been little to no wind down there, making for a silly excuse being off the cards. This was not the scariest thing that happened, though. Francesco turned around to check that his motorcycle was doing okay, but little did he know that it would have a life of its own. He quickly ended the recording and got onto his motorcycle, and it took him home normally. This was strange nonetheless. Hot Dogs Gaming is a YouTube channel that has never uploaded any paranormal content, so when he eventually did, people were quick to believe him. He had notified his followers that he would be attending a large birthday party to commemorate his cousin's 18th. The party was great according to all attendees and had many unique features for an 18th, such as a laser tag section and a go-karting track. There was one thing that this party had that absolutely no other did though. That thing was a spirit. Have a look.
Anong nangyayari? Guys, tingnan nyo. What the fuck? Oh, damn. Wala akong ginagalaw, ah. Oh, damn. Creepy. Oh, yun. Oh, the fuck. Shucks. Kung nandyan guys sa panga. Oh, what the fuck?
This one video from the part captured a spirit toying with what seemed to be a water bottle, and it went viral. Everybody at the party wanted to watch the video, and the person who caught it managed to become the most popular person there when the word came out. There was nothing surrounding the bottle, so it was odd that this happened, especially considering nothing else did on that night. Having children ends up being the most joyful point of most people's lives, and it is understandable as to why. These little humans bring happiness and pride to their parents, and give them another element of happiness that they never knew they needed to unlock. Enough of the positivity though, because this is a haunter video. A lot of children tend to develop something called an imaginary friend, where they pretend they know somebody who is invisible. Parents are often creeped out by this because the children paint them to be these uncanny-looking demons, and this was the case for the child in the following video. He had a paranormal friend called Edward, and his parents believed it was just a phase until this was recorded.
This dude's actually just sat like he's talking to someone, but his brother's downstairs. And me. Who are you talking to?
Edward.
Who's Edward?
He's right there.
Nope. Nope, nope, nope.
Edward supposedly launched something across the room from the front of the child, and the father quickly left. He explained to his wife what had happened, and they both decided it was best to call it a coincidence, and that Edward was most definitely imaginary. Do you think that they handled the situation well? Let me know in the comment section down below, and subscribe whilst you are at it. The following video was recorded by Kylie, a recently divorced widow who lost the love for her husband a long time ago. Over the past 2 weeks, she had constantly been hearing knocking from the bathroom door at random moments, and every single time she went to investigate, nothing would be there. She was growing suspicious of the whole situation and told herself that next time it happened, she would 100% catch the spirit in the act on camera, and she stuck to that promise, as you are going to see. Have a watch.
Okay, so I'm at home right now and I'm in my room editing videos, and I'm literally home by myself, and I keep hearing like this knocking noise coming from our master bathroom, and I'm like literally shaking, and I've been hearing it like for the past few. Hey guys, I can't believe I got this on camera. No, nothing's here, look. The window's closed. I keep thinking like maybe it's the window.
She opened the door, and as she claimed, nobody or nothing was on the other side. Her comments and her all theorized that whatever was doing it to her window, but that just would not line up, because who would spend their time bashing a bathroom window and doing nothing else? To be honest, the whole situation was odd. Marco was staying in an Airbnb whilst he was in the process of moving house. He was moving due to paranormal circumstances, where he would constantly hear weird noises around the household without even having anybody over. He was relieved to be away from the house and finally felt a sense of warmth and security, but little did he know that the spirit followed him.
Ahí están los quejidos que les dijimos el otro día, raza. Ya van varios días que escuchamos esos quejidos, ¿verdad? Ahorita es de mañana, pero se han escuchado de madrugada. A esa hora de escuchar. Están los perros. ¿Qué creen que sea?
The noises continued, and at this point, he wasn't even frustrated. He was just fed up and disappointed with life. The spirit was clearly attached to him rather than the home, and there was nothing he could do about it. So contently, he just decided to keep it around. The occasional noise couldn't be the end of the world. The following video was recorded inside the house of Sajid, a married man with no children. He and his wife had been out of the house for a good few hours doing some well-needed shopping, but they had no idea what was waiting for them at home. They expected to walk into their house and finally have some relaxation, but relaxation is a spirit's least favorite word, and this clip shows that. After walking into the house, Sajid and his wife heard a loud bang that came from the kitchen, and it sounded as if a metal pipe had collapsed to the ground. Now, of course, things falling is pretty normal, but when he and his wife looked inside the kitchen, it was an absolute state, and at first, they thought an animal was in the house. To their dismay, this was not the case, and they found this out when the cabinet doors slammed closed. Truly, a horrifying experience for the couple. Messing around in an abandoned place of religion is not a smart idea whatsoever, but the man in the next clip of this video seemingly didn't have a care in the world. He was called Mario, and the day before this clip, he thought that it would be a fun idea to explore an abandoned Catholic church. Surprisingly, whilst he was at the church, nothing spooky happened, and Mario was starting to become pretty convinced that the paranormal world was not real. He called his church trip quits and went back to his house, but the very next night, the poltergeists of the church came to prove him wrong.
Footsteps, so like scratches on my door, and like we trying to figure out what it is, but hold on, you hear that? Hold on, wait a minute, hold on. Shine over there, baby. Shine over there. It's like, oh my God, something is, I don't know if you guys could hear that, but there's like paranormal activity. Oh shit, baby. Oh my God, baby, come on, stop, baby. Baby, stop. Oh shit, Jesus Christ. What is that? Baby, what is that? Oh God, baby, come on, we gotta stop this.
Before the clip began, Mario and his wife could hear scratching noises from their bedroom door, and this frightened them because when they opened the door expecting to see an animal, nothing was on the other side. He started filming, and this is when he managed to capture 3 items falling to the ground without any sort of forceful interaction, which completely defies physics. This was most certainly the act of a spirit. On December the 16th of 2023, a Spanish security guard was working her night shift. Unlike most employees across the world, this worker loved the night shift because as a security guard, she rarely ever had to face any issues. All she did was sit around in an office on her phone whilst she got paid. On the rare occasion that something did happen, it would just be a few teenagers doing teenager stuff, such as graffiti or breaking into the hospital. What happened on this fateful night was much different though. No amount of training could have prepared any security guard for what this poor one was about to go through. Have a watch.
Esto lo voy a dejar registrado porque son 16 de diciembre, 11 de la noche. Bueno, mira, esta wea está pasando hace mucho rato y yo acá estoy sola, weón. No hay nadie.
The wheelchair slowly began to move, and towards the end of the clip, it jolted forwards towards the office of the security guard. This gave her the chills for obvious reasons, because for all she knew, whatever was controlling that wheelchair was looking at her, and she had no idea. The chances are that it was an ex-patient at the hospital who had unfortunately passed away and roamed its walls out of pure anger. Any time awake past 1 a.m. can feel like the most eerie and mysterious of times. The fact that barely anybody else in your city, let alone your street, is awake can spook anybody out. But there is one other thing that this time period is known for. When it gets really late into the night, it is known that all sorts of spirits come out to roam the streets and cause havoc. The reason for this is unknown, but there are countless videos on the internet to prove it, including this one. The time is 1 a.m. and 2 friends are having a sleepover when they realize that Will's apartment must be haunted.
Alright guys, it's about 1 o'clock. This has been happening every night. About this time we hear a noise. Not really sure what it is, but it's starting to freak us out. See if we can maybe get it on film. You hear that?
What is that?
Oh, that was a noise.
I'll look over here. I don't hear it anymore. James, quiet.
thing is stopped.
Oh my god!
They both heard noises which led them to a part of the apartment, and when they reached this area, the sounds stopped. It was clear that something was attempting to lure them to that location, so it was just a matter of why. But this question was not going to be left hanging in the air for much longer. A ton of items collapsed to the ground on camera, and Will and his friend were extremely scared. They both ran to their beds and slept under the covers all night, never wanting to experience anything like this ever again. Donna Ayres is the woman who captured this next clip that you are going to see shortly, and she has appeared on countless haunter videos. Now, whenever someone who frequently appears on the channel comes up again, I tend to give a brief summary of their story to you, but Donna's is extraordinarily simple. She has no idea why she is being haunted, but she has uploaded several videos to YouTube showing her tough life. This video here is no different, so take a look.
Just done Ouija board, guys, and my guitar started singing, so I just thought I'd capture it. There you go, I don't know if you can hear it, but... it's singing. And before you say there's no one behind there, look. I don't know if you can hear it, guys, but my guitar's playing. So does someone want to explain how this is possible then? Bit strange if you ask me, mate. And there's something here, I can feel it. I can feel it. Is that it? There you go, another one.
Somehow the guitar plays on its own accord for about a minute before finally coming to a halt. Furthermore, Donna claimed that she felt the presence of a spirit beyond the strange guitar solo and could almost sense the chills. Donna will more than likely post more paranormal encounters to her channel, so make sure to subscribe to me because I will always further document them here. The following video was captured by James, who had gone through a pretty rough last few months to say the least. From his breakup with his girlfriend to his father unfortunately passing away, it seemed like the world was slowly turning against him. This rough patch sadly led James to being dependent on alcoholic beverages, with his favorite drink being vodka. He almost always had a bottle of the drink with him, as well as a shot glass, and this was no different in the video that you are about to see. But as well as this, something very mysterious happened.
I took a shot. Do you guys see that? I took a shot. Above, below, around, all the around. I stopped drinking for a little bit because a knife flipped out of a thing.
Strangely, the vodka glass moved without any human interaction, and James made sure to show us that no strings were attached or anything else that could have interfered. At first, James did not believe that what he was seeing was real because he was in a drunk state of mind. But after checking the footage back, he realized that this was far more than a drunk fantasy. We all know that dogs are known to protect their family from all sorts of dangers and are fearless when it comes to making sure nobody comes close to their household. This is amazing and is a reason for many people owning these animals. But in the upcoming video, there is something off about the dog. Some important information before watching the clip is that the dog is called Meggie and she is not a barker whatsoever. Her owners go as far as to say she would not hurt a fly, which made this interaction off-putting to say the least.
Literally, I don't even know what to do anymore. My dog has been barking late at night. As you can see, there's nothing there. And I'm scared.
As you can see, nothing was there, and the owner even decided to check the Ring doorbell camera to see if anything or anyone was outside that the dog could sense. There was no one. Eventually, Meggie stopped her barking and went back to her normal state, but I can't help but assume that this was a poltergeist that she was having a go at. Josh Robillard was a regular person in a regular house, but when it comes to the paranormal world, even the most normal of people can become the victims. The closest Josh was to believing in spirits was his religion, Christianity, but he still doubted that people with an afterlife could just roam the earth with free will. It was late at night, and Josh was doing some work on his laptop when he heard some sounds coming from downstairs. As he should have, Josh went to investigate the sounds, but little did he know that this was not a squatter, not a rodent. It was something far worse.
Okay, I definitely heard something down here. Bang or something.
From the swinging chandelier to the doll moving by itself, everything about this video was off-putting, but the worst part was that the cross was flipped upside down. This is a sign that whatever entity was doing this was on the side of the devil, which obviously adds much more stakes to the whole scenario. If this was a one-time thing, then Josh decided that he would leave it in the past and make sure to only mention it in prayers to God. But unfortunately, a similar event happened the next day.
Okay, I am completely alone right now. And I just started hearing noise coming from upstairs, so I'm gonna go check it out. I'm so tired of this. So tired of this. Fuck in the heck? What was that? Oh my goodness, this was not like this before. It's not like this at all. Good grief. And the cross is upside down. Oh my goodness.
After this, he called a ghost hunter to come and resolve the problem, and we received no updates after this. All that we can do is hope Josh is fine, because nobody deserves to go through something of such magnitude. A name that we have not heard on this channel in quite a long period of time is Mykolenko, and he is a ghost hunter from Ukraine. In case you have no idea what a ghost hunter is, it is pretty self-explanatory. They are hired for huge price sums to hunt down and sometimes exterminate spirits that haunt the homes of people, and the video that I am about to show you was from a job Mykolenko had been hired to carry out. Usually, he would highball for extremely unfair prices, but due to the family he was assisting in this video being fairly poor, and knowing a friend of his, he carried out the task for a highly slashed price. Here are some of the worst things that he caught. For some inexplicable reason, the bedsheets slowly creeped further and further away from their default position, and as if this was not creepy enough, it was followed up by loud footsteps in the hallway. Mykolenko carried out all of his ghost hunts solo, due to him not wanting to split the revenue with others, so this could not have been the sounds of a crewmate. After hearing these footsteps, Mykolenko took it upon himself to go towards the noise, so that he could gather more intel on the ghost that he was trying to counter, and then this happened. This act was clearly an attempt from the spirit to show Mykolenko that it was not fearful of him, because it sprinted right next to him.
Здесь. Здесь неподалеку.
After the sprinting, Mykolenko chose to reside in the bedroom of the house for a few moments to regain his bravery. Whilst he was in this room, a ghostly presence could still be sensed by him, and the footsteps refused to stop. Something was up with this house, and all we can do is hope that Mykolenko was good enough to put it to an end. There is nothing that a human loves more than their family, and a core part of this for most of people is their dog. Dogs have been man's best friend since we first started hunting, and as a reward, we keep them as pets nowadays. We know that these pets have different eye patterns to us humans, which allows them to detect light frequencies that we cannot see. It is because of this that people tend to theorize that dogs can see poltergeists. After the video that you are about to know, we will know one theory for certain though. Dogs can definitely get haunted.
Where's your boy? What's up? Whoa! Whoa.
It was evident that the ghost was trying to attack the poor dog here with some form of speaker off the shelf. This freaked out the owner of the house to a degree that he let the dog stay in his bed with him that night, and he was usually strongly against that idea due to dirty sheets. Have you ever heard of the term Netflix and chill? Well, this was what was going on with the host of the YouTube channel Llama Paranormal, except his Netflix and chill was not insinuating the kind of chill that lets you relax. His session delivered real chills to him. The time was 11 p.m. in the evening, and this man had been binging a Netflix show before bed. He was roughly 4 episodes deep into the session, and he vowed that this would be his last one. But after what happened, he was about to stay awake for a lot longer anyways.
Right, keep hearing noises. Don't know if you can hear it, but absolutely shit, this is every single night nearly now. Just weird things, but I only capture minor stuff. What the fuck, man? Oh my fucking god. Whoa. Oh my god. Oh, see what I mean? See what I mean? Oh my god, what the fuck? Oh my fucking god, mate.
All around the house, all kinds of paranormal events were happening, from flying minion plushies to strange sounds echoing any man would have quivered in the boots of this one. After the event, he really struggled to get some sleep and claimed to constantly have the feeling that he was being watched. It is theorized that he never explained the situation to the people around him in fear that they would call him crazy, but with this evidential piece of footage, it is likely that he may go through with it. The following video was captured by a man called Manuel, but he was not the only man present on scene. Him and his friend both operated as security guards at their local school and made sure nothing happened during the night. Now you are likely wondering what sort of school has nighttime security, aren't you? Well, several items had gone missing from this school over the past month, and the council finally agreed to give them a helping hand. The time was 2 a.m., which is extremely late, and Manuel and his colleague were chilling as they usually did when the upcoming clip happened.
Che, boludo, ¿escuchaste eso? ¿Lo Shh, ¿escuchaste eso, boludo? ¿Qué? Allá en el aula hay como un ruido, boludo. Nada, boludo. Pero vamos, porque si... Padre dijo que filmemos, boludo. Si no vamos después, padre, si Servino nos va a sacar el cuero, boludo. Vamos a ver qué onda un toque. Vamos, un toque, boludo, dale. ¿Qué onda, boludo? ¿Hace un frío acá afuera? Sí, boludo, hace un refrío. Pero acá parece que hace más frío, porque dice que cuando hace frío que es por algo, digamos. ¿Dónde escuchaste, boludo? Acá hay ruido en toda la escuela. Pero sí, boludo, ¿no escuchaste? ¿Ves escuchar? ¿Escuchás, boludo? ¿No escuchás? No escuché nada, boludo. A ver, está raro. Ah, pues sí. Ah, hay como una cortina ahí. Sí. ¿Dónde escuchaste, boludo? Sí, boludo, para mí que por allá. O ahí, no sé. Mira, ve. ¿Dónde, boludo? Por acá era. No, boludo, ¿viste eso? Ah, boludo. Aguantá, boludo, aguantá.
Out of the blue, a huge surge in paranormal activity happened, and it sent Manuel and his colleague into absolute shambles. They strolled around the facility attempting to gather as much evidence of the event as humanly possible, and it is safe to say they got enough. What made this event even more spooky was the fact that Manuel experienced several other paranormal events afterwards, which meant the ghost must have attached to him, and we can only hope that he is able to get rid of the creature. It is rare that a spirit haunts the same exact person for 2 years, but the video that you are about to witness is a 1 in a million. The lady filming the video had been suffering from paranormal activity for 2 whole years, but rather than uploading every event as they happened, she decided to post them all at once in the form of a TikTok compilation. Today you are going to see one of the clips, but in order to see more, you are going to have to subscribe. This is because she will be featuring on several other haunter videos with the rest of her clips. Anyways, have a watch.
Hey, Ghost Goon. Is it easier if you just talk to me without the radio? Oops. Ghost Goon, are you here right now?
The woman somehow managed to communicate with the spirit, except some of the words that it muttered seemed to be inaudible. It perfectly addressed her by her name, Sarah, and even questioned what she wanted, which was very confrontational and spooky. To top it all off, it pushed a pencil off of the counter at the end, which was why you heard a soft clatter, as if something had collided with the ground. Remember to subscribe so that you don't miss the rest of this story. This next piece of paranormal activity was uploaded to TikTok on April the 30th of 2021 by a publisher called Ghost Rocky 666. It took place in the kitchen of a Hispanic man who had only ever served God well in his life. He never missed prayers, but of course he was not perfect, so he had some sins under his belt. However, he always made sure to apologize and repent. My point is that he was the person you would least expect to be a victim of something like this. But hey, here we are.
Donc voilà, je refais une vidéo parce que il se passe encore des phénomènes, comme vous pouvez le voir. Il y a le tiroir qui s'est ouvert tout seul. Vous pouvez le constater, je suis tout seul. Il y a juste le chien qui est effrayé en dessous de la table. Sinon, je suis absolument tout seul. Donc, est-ce que vous pouvez vous manifester, s'il vous plaît? Ok. Est-ce que vous pouvez me dire ce que... Oh, je suis calme. Je ne vous veux aucun mal.
The cupboard opened, and you could instantly hear the man's talkative and energetic voice vanish into the abyss. This event was followed up by an entire sequence of paranormal activity so much that the man needed to contact his local church for some help. The last update that we received stated that he was okay, but the job of eradicating the poltergeist had not quite been accomplished. Apparitions are most probably the most terrifying form of ghostly activities on the planet. Being haunted by these things is a scary enough experience, but coming face to face with a demon incites terror that nobody watching this video will have ever felt. If you have felt it, let me know in the comments, by the way. Anyway, the video that you are about to watch took place in a nice and wholesome setting where the boyfriend of the girl on screen decided to capture their gathering on camera. Little did he know that he was going to capture more than just the family.
Aí, fim da festa aí, pessoal. Ó, comprei a câmera nova. Vamos colocar um vídeo no YouTube aí, ó. Ai, que vergonha, não faz isso. A Josi capotada já, com sono. Aí, Thiago, a câmera que eu comprei nova aí. Bebeu demais. Vermelhinha e tal. Vocês nem esperaram pra festa aí, né, mano? Meu Deus do céu, que porra é essa, velho? Mano, eu vi alguma coisa aqui, Thiago. Tem alguma coisa que passou aqui, velho. Ih, velho. Tô falando sério, cara. Tô falando sério. Vem aqui comigo, cara. Tem nada aqui, não. Eu vi uma coisa assim, cara. Tá louco, mano? Maluco. Maluco. Eu vou voltar a câmera. Eu vou voltar a câmera e você vai ver, velho.
The girl could have sworn that it was her grandfather who passed away, but unfortunately, the social media community would not believe her. Based on the event already being absurd, as anything, I think I will give her the benefit of the doubt and assume it was just her deceased grandfather checking in on her. It was either that or a completely irrelevant demon, which would be far worse. Sticking to the topic of the last clip, this final video is going to feature an apparition, and I must say, it is one of the most horrifying ones that I have featured on the channel. It has that uncanny feel to it where it kind of looks like a human, but some certain features are slightly off, almost letting you know that it is hiding its true colors. The video was captured very late at night by Abdi, who simply wanted some sleep when he heard some banging. He went to check the door, and then this happened.
Hay un niño golpeando la puerta.
At first, Abdi believed that it could have genuinely been a woman or a girl who needed help, so being the good Samaritan he was, he opened the door. However, once the creature vanished out of thin air, he knew that something was up, and you bet that once the recording ended, he began to pray. The following video was recorded by a woman called Mrs. Rez, but she prefers to keep her full name off her TikTok page. She had been going through paranormal activity for roughly 2 months in the build-up to this video, and quite frankly, it was getting too bad. Mrs. Rez had 2 babies who she and their father loved very much, but unfortunately the father worked the night shift a lot, so was not present on this fateful night. Never did any of them think that the spirits would start tampering with their baby's stuff.
I rebuke you in Jesus' name. What the? I rebuke you in Jesus' name. I rebuke you in Jesus' name. Leave these babies alone.
The skateboard toy continued moving backwards and forwards, despite being rebuked several times by Mrs. Rez, showing us just how little authority she had in this situation. Furthermore, some unintellectual whispering noises could be heard down the camera, and who knows who generated them. We do know for certain that there was a spirit in the room with them, though. This next video was uploaded to YouTube on December 31st of 2022 and encaptivated a test by a man called Ivan. Ivan had been convinced that he was being haunted for a solid 2 weeks, and it got to a point that he had to tell the people that he loved and trusted around him. To his dismay, he was completely dismissed, and everybody looked at him as some sort of psychopath for even thinking that a ghost would haunt him. But this is when he got the motivation to catch the ghost. He went to his room late at night, took out his phone and hit record, and this is when something incredible happened.
Here are my hands. Did you see that? Did you fucking see that? Here are my feet, not moving. Here are my hands and my feet. Oh shit, hold on. Here's my face. Why'd you do that? Can you do it again? You forgot, you didn't, did you? There's so many fucking things flying across my screen. I feel like it's dust. It's gotta be dust. I'm gonna take a shot. Mom? No. No. No way.
Not once but twice the ghost listened to Ivan and dropped some items to the ground. This was creepy for very obvious reasons, because not only did it do these things, it did them on command, showing that it had some human comprehension. Despite having this piece of evidence to use at his favor against the allegations of him being crazy, Ivan still had 3 more days before he was due the doctor checkup, so thought that he might as well gather some more evidence. He took it upon himself to take his phone out and start filming every time paranormal levels seemed to have a rise, and in doing this, he managed to capture one more evidential video.
Am I tripping? Am I tripping? You see that? Oh, okay. Can you not do that, please? Yeah, I'm leaving.
This time the ghost moved the handheld vacuum cleaner and even made it balance in an unnatural position for a short period of time. This could not have happened if it had not been a poltergeist, so Ivan was set on him not being crazy, and now had to convince his loved ones. He showed them the videos, and to his fortune, they all believed him, going as far as to trying to cancel the doctor's appointment. For some dumb reason, he still had to attend, but they did not find anything psycho about him, and he left the situation as a victim rather than a maniac. The following video was filmed by a woman called Rachel, and her content actually featured on this channel in our last video, and this is a continuation of her story. For those of you who didn't watch the video, I will give you a quick recap, but I highly recommend giving it a watch after this one, because it was very spooky. Anyways, Rachel took her son to a local fun fair for his birthday when he decided to purchase an Elmo balloon because he really liked watching the Muppets. Of course, due to it being his birthday, she fulfilled the request, but she had no clue what was actually in store. This balloon turned out to be highly haunted, and since getting it, it continuously made its way to the basement. This was creepy, and all but the kid wanted to keep his balloon, so both parents decided to let him keep hold of it, knowing that it would deflate eventually. However, this did not look like happening, and the paranormal events were starting to happen without the balloon's presence in certain rooms. The following video is a scenario when this happened.
Okay, knock. Go back.
Did you hear that? Yeah. That's a solid knock. It's like a thick vibration.
Yeah.
I like felt it right under me. Then do it again.
Okay, yeah.
Do you hear the rhythm in the knock? It's like very thick. It's like the horn.
Yeah.
Okay, try it again.
Okay.
Set on the knock over here.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you hear the rhythm? Yeah. It's very proper. It was a very hard knock.
The spirit that must have been controlling the Elmo balloon would have been making these knocking sounds, and the two parents were beginning to get very freaked out for good reason. There was one huge positive from this whole situation though. The Elmo balloon was not involved in the haunting, which could have meant it had finally deflated enough for the hauntings to come to a halt, at least they thought. This theory would be disproved just as quickly as it was made with one of the most frightening clips ever uploaded on my channel. Have a watch at your own risk. The balloon floated to the basement again, except this time, something far more horrifying happened. Rather than coming to a standstill and nothing happening, a face peeked around the basement door, and it is safe to say that it was uncanny. The ending of this story is surprisingly untold, and we can only sit and hope that Rachel and her family are okay. If they do end up providing any updates, though, you will hear it first on Haunter, so be sure to subscribe. Eli was the last person you would expect to become a victim of paranormal activity, and this was fact. He was a devoted Christian and made sure to pray every day, so the last thing that you would expect to happen to him would be a ghost coming to haunt him. On top of being a Christian, Eli was a house painter and did the task freelance, meaning that people came to him for their houses to be done. He made a large amount of money doing this gig and was more wealthy than your average man, but even the wealthy become nothing when placed in front of a paranormal threat. Eli was working late on some drywall when this happened.
Something that was really cool, and I feel like it sets this house apart. The reason why I'm just not finding this crawl space is because of this drywall. The owner, she had this drywall covering the crawl space. That's not the cool thing about it. And I want y'all to check this out. So while I was here, I found this table, and I also found this extra space right here. You have a vent right there. I think I just heard some footsteps.
Eli found some form of unique part of the house, and he unfortunately let curiosity get the better of him. If he had just continued painting, then perhaps this clip would have never happened, but it did, and there is nothing that we can do about it. He heard footsteps above him and quickly made his way out of the crawl space, but little did he know that he was nowhere near safe, and this was only the beginning. It is important to note that none of the house owners were present, and this was not a squatter.
This can't be a squatter.
First of all, the voice of a little girl could be heard, and that voice in the situation definitely connotated some sort of evil spirit. After hearing this voice, he made his way back downstairs away from the girl's voice and managed to catch the crawl space entrance opening slowly on camera as if the spirit was inviting him back inside. Eli said his prayers and left the facility, valuing his life and his health over the money that he would have got his hands on. Aisha and her cat had been paired together for years leading up to this moment, and their bond was unbreakable. The cat was first with her when she was just 14 because her parents decided to buy the pet. When Aisha grew older, they decided to let her keep it and bring it to her first rented home because she basically did all of the catering anyways. One night, when Aisha and the cat were sitting in the dining room little together, did she know that the pet would not be the highlight of the show here, to her cat collection. Little did she know that the pet would not be the highlight of the show here.
You look so tired. I know you're tired.
Strangely, the chair came out at Aisha, and she was obviously pretty freaked out by this. She had never tampered with any form of paranormal entity or location, so it made zero sense as to why the spirit had chosen her for the haunting. This is one of many questions that will likely never have an answer. Now, despite humans being so out of touch with the paranormal world, there have been several inventions that supposedly allow us to communicate with entities. Some of these methods are very controversial and up for debate as to whether they are legit or not. However, the Ouija board is one that continuously provides things far from the norm. Unlike other methods where clips just show the board changing letters, Ouija boards often contain clips where haunted things happen. That was no different in the next video. It was filmed in the kitchen where some girls were messing about at a sleepover. It is safe to say that they were messing around in places far out of their depths though. Have a watch.
Ok, nå begynte jeg. Har du begynt? Hva skal vi begynne med? Hva skal vi si først? Hei. Vet du, jeg tør ikke å stå, jeg må sette meg.
Jeg skal liksom si god dag eller hei.
Julie, skal man si hei først? Nå sa jeg lyst. Ja, jeg tror... dere må liksom invitere den da, på en måte.
Ja, vi må si hei da, hilse.
Ok. Stav, hei.
Ja.
Hei. Det går ikke da. Det var det mye. Fy faen, ass.
Du sa jo at det skal være full.
Ta ned på god dagen. Det er ikke vits i, det går ikke. Shit. Kødder du nå? Ok, vet du hva? Nå kan jeg få gå hjem, eller? Du kan ikke gå hjem? Nei, jeg tør ikke å gå hjem. Jeg tør ikke å gå hjem. Ta det bort, da. Ta det bort, sånn her. Jeg tør ikke å ha det her nå. Hva sier du? Ja, men dere, nå er jo han, nå er ånden her da. Nå må dere... Ja, velkommen etter av valen. Tenk hvis han kommer og tar meg da. Fy for jeg sitter alene, faen, og så sitter vi i vinduet også.
Hallo, hva skal vi si nå? Jeg fortsetter ikke nå.
Jo, kom igjen da. Jeg fortsetter, jeg var kjempegøy. Kan dere følge meg hjem, eller?
Det er sant. Ja. Kan du... Hallo.
Jeg skulle aldri vært med på dette, vet du.
Herregud, det var sykt. Hva sammen skal vi ta med? Vi må vite om det er damer eller mann, da.
Det kommer seriøst sånne lysglimt foran skjermen, altså. Det er dritkult.
Hallo, ja. Du har aldri vært med på det her før? Eller jeg har vært med på den, liksom ikke sånn.
Nå trodde jeg døra åpnet seg.
Det var sykt. Herregud. Skal vi fortsette nå, synes jeg? Hva skal vi ta med? Det er noe med deg. Kom igjen, da. Hallo, vi må fortsette. Ok. Vi tar vi oss et tegn, da. Skal vi si det sammen? Ok. 1, 2, 3. Gi oss et tegn.
Det dingler.
Fy faen.
Helvete, hele den driten dingler jo.
Fy faen. Vi tar det til da.
Sjekka.
Gi oss et tegn.
Surprisingly, the Ouija board failed to connect to the spirits, and the girls were all rather disappointed with the turnout. Of course, they didn't expect it to work, but nonetheless, it would have been cool if it did so. What happened instead was simply terrifying. The girl on the far side of the table had her drink slide on its own accord, and everybody there understandably screamed. Perhaps the Ouija board summoned a ghost after all. On June the 6th of 2021, Chris and Julia were both in their bedroom watching television. It was just 10 p.m. and their favorite show had just released a new series, so they needed to get it started before they could get any rest. Little did they know that this watching session would include a massive interruption. The episode was about 30% complete, and the couple were loving it. They were so invested that they didn't even bring themselves to have any sort of toilet or food break. They substituted these periods with a ghost break. Julia was way too scared to investigate what caused the bang, so she sent the man of the house, Chris, to take a look. The result of his search was unfortunate because he found nothing except some cans on the floor. After reviewing the camera footage, they knew for a fact that this was an unnatural cause, so got in touch with their local priest. Like this video and comment part 2 for a chance for me to include it in a haunter video sometime in the future. It's not often that a spirit manages to physically affect a person, but in the upcoming video, this one in a billion phenomenon came to life. Meet Taylor, a 30-year-old electrician who takes no interest in either religion or the general paranormal world. He was convinced that nothing could change his mind on these views, and he was more than entitled to that opinion. However, one day something happened which managed to do the trick. It took place in January of 2025, and it is important to note that Taylor had never experienced anything like this before, so it was a new occurrence.
My front camera is smashed, but I'm here at my girlfriend's house by myself. She always says it's haunted because it sounds like somebody is walking around upstairs. I've never heard it until now. I always say it's not haunted because the house is a little old. But it legit sounds like there's somebody upstairs. I will swing on a ghost, or if it's a person, I don't care. Who's up there? Oh my god, they're like at the top of the stairs. Come down these stairs and I will swing on you, I promise.
Unlike most times where the ghost mentally torments a person, this ghost barged past Taylor on the way past Taylor, causing him to collapse. Taylor was adamant that nobody who knew him who had passed would haunt him, so he was extraordinarily baffled by this situation. What makes things even weirder is that he has not experienced anything like it since either. The following video was captured by a man called Mike, and it was not a first-time ghostly experience for him. In fact, Mike has dealt with countless instances involving a ghost because he purchased his house fully aware that it was haunted due to the extremely cheap cost that he refused to turn down. He was in the process of banishing the spirits from it in order to increase the value, working alongside his local church as well as many freelance ghost hunters. Of course, during this process, the hauntings were still going on though, and Mike managed to film this.
No nie wiem, przed chwilą cały czas coś się znowu dzieje. Boże. O Boże. A teraz wiecie co jest kurwa najgorsze? Że wczoraj kiedy kot tak długo wpatrywał się w tą lampę, postanowiłem, że odłączyłem od prądu. Gdzie jest ten kabel cholerny? Lampa jest odłączona. Patrzcie. No. A tutaj jest właśnie ten mój kolega. Masakra.
Now at first, Mike believed this was an electrical issue, but due to his situation, he decided to show the footage to some ghost experts. They all claimed that this was a spiritual act, and the lamp never flickered again from this point, so it did make a lot of sense. In a recent video on the channel, we took a peek into the life of a mother of 3 who was struggling heavily with paranormal activity. In that video, all sorts of weird events were featured, such as flickering lights, heavy breathing, talking, and other events of the sort. But fortunately, it was made clear that this was a one-time occurrence. Well, at least it was at that point. In between then and now, the family have experienced a lot more, and the next piece of footage showcases a time when all of it was caught on camera again. Watch it for yourself. Instead of doing anything visible with the eye, this time the spirit was rather audible and was trying to torment the mother. It knew that she wanted undeniable proof of its existence on camera, so decided to stay out of sight. It was a smart strategy and a cruel one. The mother could hear heavy breathing no matter where she visited in the house, and at one point even heard a little girl talking. This was a surreal experience, and make sure to subscribe, because if anything else happens to this family, then you will be the first to hear about it. Ghost hunting, a profession only taken up by the bravest of people, or the stupidest of people. It depends how you want to look at it. This profession involves being paid by clients to visit their property and search for entities, and it comes under two tasks. They either search for spirits or eliminate spirits. The man in the video here was attempting to search for one and find proof of its existence for the owner.
Me acaban de golpear, tengo una pared que da allá al patio, allá atrás, la puerta es ahí. Yo ahí tengo la computadora y en la pared me acaban de golpear. Yo no sé si fue algo que cayó por haber sido un gato o no sé. Fue bastante pesado el golpe. Siempre hay un montón de gatos por acá, ¿eh? En el barrio. No sé por qué la gente deja los gatos sueltos, digamos. Son gatos de personas, o sea, son gatos de familias. Pero dejan sueltos. ¡Ey, ey, 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 ey! ¿Qué es eso? ¿Lo escucharon? ¿De dónde vino? Uy, me estoy re asustando. No. Ok, si hay algo acá que se retire de mi casa. Puta madre.
As you could see, Fuego, the ghost hunter, clearly found enough evidence of a paranormal entity for his client and cashed out large. With the amount of money Fuego makes, it doesn't look like he's going to quit ghost hunting anytime soon. Tim was a well-known ghost hunter from the United States who posted all of his findings to YouTube. Throughout his years capturing the paranormal, he came across a lot of events, but none were quite as spooky as the one which we are looking at today. It took place in the home of a rather wealthy family who could fortunately afford a ghost hunter to come and help them, and what he found definitely warranted help. Have a watch. Somehow, the bed glided across the floor as if it weighed nothing, and it happened without any sort of intervention. Furthermore, you will have noticed that Tim fell to the floor, and with his experience under his belt, this was very weird. Theorists claim that he was potentially grasping a form of force, and that he did not naturally collapse from fear, but he still refuses to confirm or deny this. However, this incident was not the only haunted thing that occurred during this adventure of Tim's. On top of this, it likely wasn't even the scariest. The video you are about to watch was so frightening that it ended Tim's ghost hunt completely and he was forced to go home. Strangely, the door continuously opened and closed, and it happened for quite some time after Tim ended the recording. It was evident that no strings or anything of the sort were attached to the door, and this was purely the artwork of spirits. Rocky and his girlfriend, who we do not know the name of, lived a happy lifestyle together and were dead set on staying together for life. There was one series of events, however, that made them double question these choices, and they were the presence of paranormal entities in their home. The upcoming clip came from their kitchen, and it is unexplainable, but if you can come up with a logical solution, then feel free to leave a comment.
Faire bouger quelque chose, je sais pas. Taper. C'est de frapper dans une porte. Dans la porte là, si c'est possible.
Le placard s'est ouvert.
Ah ouais, je viens de voir. Ok. Si c'est ta façon de communiquer, d'accord. Est-ce que tu es une femme? Tu veux communiquer avec nous? Est-ce que je... Il y a des bruits.
Il y a eu un bruit derrière toi.
Surveiller là quand même. Est-ce que tu veux que je m'approche? Franchement, je m'approche quand même. Je m'approche, mais si tu peux apparaître. Non, j'ai pas envie de... Putain. Calme, calme, on se calme. Ok, je ne veux pas te faire de mal, hein. On veut juste que tu te manifestes, s'il te plaît. On n'a rien à faire là. Pareil, je sais pas. Ok, d'accord.
Pas l'air très agréable ce soir. Hein.
Bref, merci. On va stopper là, on va arrêter.
Ouais.
C'est mieux.
For some sort of mysterious reason, the cupboard started to open and close by itself, and dishes continued to fly out of it. Ghostly activities were not a new thing for Rocky and his loyal girlfriend, because they had started to occur ever since they first got together, but this experience was freaky for them nonetheless. Now, in case you don't believe that this was real, like many of the commenters on YouTube, they actually filmed another piece of footage which was just as bad. It took place in the same household, except this time around things were all over, rather than just in the kitchen. It really encaptivated the severity and scale of the situation, and in order to truly understand what Rocky and his girlfriend were going through, you must give it a watch.
C'est quoi ça? Qu'est-ce que c'est que ça? Qui est là? Ok. Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un ici? Est-ce que vous pouvez vous montrer s'il vous plaît? Oula. Manifestez-vous. Parlez-moi.
All around this room, things were falling and moving, and Rocky even claimed to have felt a wave of cold energy passing through him. It was after the recording of this content that they made the choice to put the house up for sale. They could not put up with the hellhole for any longer. The chances are that you have heard of the back rooms before. Just in case you haven't, they are a confusing and haunting series of rooms designed to frighten the living hell out of people. Now, of course, this place is nothing but fictional and just meant to be interesting for its fan base, but sometimes we come across things close to it. For example, our next clip. It took place in a hospital with a similar design to the rooms, and it definitely gave off similar energy. Fortunately for us, a member of staff at the hospital was able to film the area late at night and expose this to the world. Doors closing, items moving, and an undoubtedly cold feeling were all present that night, and the doctor behind the camera was scared out of his skin. After the event, he begged his boss to call a meeting for all of the staff to gather and watch the clip that he managed to obtain, and they were flabbergasted. They continuously beckoned him to reveal that it was some sort of prank, but he was adamant he caught what he did, and eventually they bought into it. All the workers united and asked for higher pay from the manager due to them putting up with the paranormal activity, and to their pleasure, they were granted it. There are a lot of reactions you can have to being haunted, and the video that we are going to look into next is not a good example. It took place in Lucy's house, a divorced mother whose children were staying with their fathers for the weekend. She always felt unsettled whilst this was happening, because she had a constant fear that they may decide they love him more than her. However, on one fateful night, this would be the very least of her worries, because a guest from the underworld was overdue a visit.
I'm just sitting here trying to record it happening again, because I keep getting really freaked out. This is such a waste of time. Whatever you are, leave my fucking house now. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my god. Oh shit, sorry. Fuck. Oh god. Okay. What the fuck was that? What the fuck, dude? There's nobody over there. There's nothing over there. Holy shit. Okay. What the fuck?
For the entirety of the day, Lucy was putting up with high activity levels, and eventually, she thought she might as well take out her phone and see if she could get any sort of proof. Whether you count this as lucky or not, the ghost did in fact show itself, and he had enough evidence to prove to ghost hunters that she was in need of help, but this was, of course, at the cost of fear. Children are a sign of innocence and purity in most aspects of the world. But when it comes to the world of the paranormal, they can be the most demented and twisted spirits in the world. Most of the time, if a kid has taken the form of a ghost, it means they unfortunately passed away at a very young age and have a vendetta against the world. So their hauntings can be pretty vicious, and that was the case for the haunter of Josh. Josh and his family had heard loads of kids' noises from the basement, and every time they went to investigate, it stopped, followed by the rocking of the wooden horse. One day, Josh was able to get the phenomenon on his camera.
Not again.
Hello?
think so. No. I'm done. I'm done.
As you can see, the lights were flickering at a rate which could not have been an electrical issue, and the wooden horse was rocking in a way that it would if a human child was using it as a toy. On a whole, this was not a good experience for Josh, and he plans to take action in the near future. Suggest some routes for him in the comments. On February 11th of 2025, a short video was uploaded to TikTok that would perplex even the most expertised people in the paranormal industry. If it managed to do that to the experts, then you can only imagine how confused and terrified the staff member at the facility, Joyce, was. It all started when she heard a repetitive knock coming from a door for a room which was supposed to be empty, and when she went to investigate in the emergency that a kid had been locked inside, she found something else in the interior.
Grabado por guardia de seguridad.
Something or someone was knocking on the door, and it was evident that whatever it was not visible. Joyce explained after the incident that she saw some sort of figure on the other side of the door, but no matter how many times I scanned the video, I could not seem to find any evidence of this. Of course, if you want to take a look though, feel free to watch the clip for a second time. If I am right, and nothing was there though, then it is safe to assume that the spirit was not visible on a camera, which is actually more common than you think. The following video took place in Newport, Kentucky, and even managed to stump Redditors, which always seem to have an answer to questions. The building where the video was taken has gone through several phases, starting as a thriftway, then going vacant, then becoming a hardware place, and at the moment of the video, it was vacant for a second time. The important thing about vacant buildings is that nobody is paying the electricity bills for them, because why on earth would they? If they are no longer using the facility, then they would just be draining their bank account for no apparent reason, which makes this piece of footage weird, to put it lightly.
Okay, so this place is abandoned. It's been abandoned for a little bit, but tell me why this back room here. This used to be the thriftway back in the 90s, but check this shit out. I've walked past here multiple times. Why is the lights inside here flickering, especially this one? It's weird as fuck. But as many times as I walk past here to go other places, I've never seen this. That's weird as fuck, isn't it? Even that back light back there is flickering, and they're flickering in different intervals.
First of all, if nobody was paying into the electricity bill, then it would have stopped flowing into the building ages ago. And second of all, the man filming the video claimed that the lights were off every other time he passed the place. Furthermore, no new company had purchased the building, so it was more than likely that this was the act of a ghost. The following video was recorded by Michael on November 13th of 2023 at around 3:25 in the morning at his old farmhouse, which is over a century old and has a long history as a horse farm. At the time, Michael was just sitting in bed with his laptop playing bingo and the TV on in the background. Everything was quiet until he heard a strange noise outside his window. Initially, he didn't think much of it, but after muting everything, he realized the sound was still there. Curiosity got the better of him, and he went to the window to investigate.
My fucking heart is pounding right now. What the fuck is that? Oh my god.
Now Michael was clearly freaked out by this scenario, and you definitely cannot blame him. From the neighing of the horse to the ghost-like figure pacing his driveway, this was a surreal experience, and we are all very lucky that we have never gotten into a similar scenario. Bruno and his wife Soraya were both at home getting ready to enjoy a nice evening together. It was rare that they managed to get peace and quiet all night because they were the parents of 3 children, but fortunately they were all at a camp with their local scouting group, so Bruno and Soraya could enjoy themselves without any responsibilities. Soraya was sitting at the dining table flipping her son's toy skateboard, waiting for Bruno to choose a movie to watch. This always took a long time because he was so ridiculously indecisive, but before he could come to a decision, this happened.
Se movió la silla.
¿Leal?
Sí.
De las Jores.
Tipo, es de arquitecta.
De las Jores.
Soraya was clearly freaked out by all of this sudden activity and shouted to Bruno for help. She half expected him to have more of an idea as to what to do next, but he was just as clueless in this situation. We can only hope that they acted sensibly from here, because we have no more intel on the situation. If I could give you one singular piece of advice to take with you into a paranormal situation, it would be to not tell a spirit what to do, because this can cause all sorts of havoc. Just like humans, spirits take being commanded around as some sort of disrespectful and objectifying way to treat someone, so they typically get worse when given orders. The man that captured the following video most certainly did not have this knowledge with him, because he took it upon himself to encourage his haunter to push a can. Have a watch.
Guys, last night I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard some pounding. I think there might be a ghost in my house. I have a can set up right there. Hang on. Right there's a can. And I'm gonna see if I can get this spirit to knock the can down. So here goes nothing, I guess. Remember, there's a can sitting right there. If there is a spirit here with me, I've put a can on top of my stand. Can you please knock the can down? Oh my god. What the fuck, guys? Oh my god. I'm fucking shaking. There's the can. It was sitting right there. Like and subscribe for more.
Now the ghost did end up following this order, but based on future updates, the hauntings became much worse after this incident. The man who filmed the video is currently in the process of moving out from the house due to the sheer amount of activity, and who knows what he will do next. Experiencing paranormal activity is definitely rare, but experiencing a sequence of activity is far more impressive. Sometimes ghosts must have way too much anger inside of them because they do multiple things during one haunting sequence. Fortunately, our next victim, called Zachary, managed to capture his haunting sequence in 4K, and it actually took place within the premise of his work. He worked in a factory, and at the time of the incident, he was down in the storage room doing some tasks. Luckily, he was filming a video for his friend to showcase how boring his job was, and if it wasn't for that, then we would not have received this fascinating piece of footage. All sorts of crazy stuff happened down there, and Zachary was utterly mesmerized by what was going on. After ending the recording, he took no hesitation in evacuating the scene and informing his boss of the situation. The boss watched the footage and believed Zachary, but would not be able to do anything about it. Nothing awful has happened in that room since, but the memories still haunt Zachary every time he is forced to venture the area. Kira was an innocent woman who had never wronged anyone in her life, at least not to an extent that would have warranted a haunting. This is why she and everybody who knew her were so confused about her recent stories involving objects moving on their own, voices from right beside her, and tons of electricity problems. The stories were so unbelievable that her eldest son actually ended up booking some therapy for her out of pure worry, which was rather sweet. However, all sweetness was taken away when you realize she was not crazy all along. 2 days before her therapeutic appointment, Kira found motivation to prove she was not going insane because she didn't want her relatives to waste all of their money attempting to diagnose her. This is the context of the video of which I am about to show you, where she is clearly trying to catch the spirit red-handed.
Twice it has moved. I literally thought I heard something then. If there's anybody in here who can move the ornament under the TV stand, can you give it a little push for me? Or can you pull it, or can you pull it back? Just give it a little pull for me if you can just touch it. Oh my god. What the fuck? What the fuck? That is like, there's nothing on it. There's nothing on it at all.
After being politely asked to do so, as you should ask a spirit, it decided to move the ornament without causing any damage to it. And inside her head, Kira was having a party. She spoke to her sister and asked how to send the video to everyone, and she got help doing so. The fact that she knew little about technology led to everybody believing the video could not have been edited, and she was believed at last, with the priest coming out to offer her help in the coming months. On June the 25th of 2024, Beto was simply trying to have a shower when everything turned against him. The time was 10 p.m, so a regular time for an evening shower. He had allowed his son to have a shower first because he had school in the morning, and it was finally his turn after waiting, but the relieving shower was clearly not meant to be, because immediately after entering the room, something happened that warranted Beto to take out his phone. It is important to note that no items, or the house itself, have had any paranormal past recorded, and this was a first-time event.
No seas mamón.
This terrified Beto, but he made sure to film it for long enough so that it was undeniably real. He knew the power of social media, so uploaded it to TikTok, hoping he was going to be the next big thing. Whilst he failed to become the next big thing, he did end up with 12,000 likes, which he was fairly happy about, but was worth a haunting? Probably not.